So now, please welcome the official, non-official, non-sponsor of the Savannah Bananas, but a big fan. Please welcome John Fletcher.
Well, thank you, Jesse Cole, owner of the Savannah Bananas, and welcome to this edition of 15 on Fridays with Fletch. Today's special guest has been a police officer, a successful Ford dealer, and for the past almost 20 years, he's been such a powerful automotive voice that he was recently inducted into the Texas Radio Hall of Fame, and he also owns his own radio station in Granbury. In his 15-year career as a car dealer, he was a partner in Prestige Ford, which he grew to become the #1 Ford dealer in Texas, and at one time was the top-selling Ford dealer in America. He earned so much trust as a quality Ford dealer that he started his own radio show where he's known as the Car Pro. He's a straightforward shooter, and he tells his listeners about what they need to know about cars, trucks, and SUVs to buy and service. In his show that's heard on WBAP and KRLD in Dallas-Fort Worth and also nationwide, his sponsors are the most prestigious dealers such as Sampac, 5-Star Ford, and Classic Chevrolet. Please welcome my friend Jerry Reynolds, the owner and host of the Car Pro Show USA. Jerry, welcome to 15 on Fridays with Fletch.
Very good to be with you, John.
Oh, this is wonderful. Tell us your secret that made you the #1 Ford dealer in Texas and in the nation.
I don't know that there was a secret to it, John. I always felt like if I could find and hire the best people in the auto industry, that I was going to be successful. I wanted to surround myself with the very best. And over time, we were able to build that team and we were so dominant in North Texas and then eventually in all of Texas. But I give the credit to my people. I mean, every dealership is the same. They're all made of glass and brick, and they all got cars sitting outside. The difference, 100%, is the people, and I had the best.
Well, tell us about, in addition to large inventory and nice buildings, earning trust seems to be even more important. So tell us how you became such a trusted dealer.
Well, I think it was again those people, but I instilled in them how important that it was that we make our customers happy, that we're upfront, we're honest, we do things a little bit different. Um, you know, Profit's not a dirty word, and car dealers have to make a profit. And if you want good service for your car, if you want to keep coming back and again and again and again, that takes people that earn that right. So we were always huge in community relations. We were in Garland. It was a community of 200,000 people. And I wanted everybody in Garland, Texas that was going to buy a Ford to buy it from us. And so we were real active in the schools, with the police, with the fire. So all those things kind of wrapped into one, I think made for a good, not only a good business case, but it made it a joy. And boy, I tell you what, when so many car dealers, their people come to work every day dreading it, I always like to think that my people wanted to come to work every day because we were going to have fun and we were going to be a family. And so we did a lot of things that were different than a lot of car dealerships did. And I think that's one of the reasons that people trusted us. You could feel it when you walked in the door.
Well, and your reputation led you to become that trusted resource for the Car Pro Show. So tell us about starting the show.
Boy, that was never supposed to happen. 2001 was the year, and I decided that, and I was still in the car business at that time. I didn't sell out until 2006, so this was 5 years before that. But I thought, if people had a place that they could come and ask a question and know they're going to get an honest answer, no matter if it hurts, then I think people would flock to that. So I tested it on a really small, really lousy radio station in Dallas. At that time, it was 1190, and it was a Fox Sports station, and it had a good signal, but the station itself was just horrible. and And so I decided to enlist Kevin McCarthy, who had left KLIF at that time after a very great career there. And he wasn't doing anything yet. He actually had a non-compete. So I told him my idea and I said, look, will you join me in this? Because I don't know anything about radio. I'm a lifetime car dealer. And he agreed to do that. And so we started, we were supposed to start the Saturday after 9/11. And when that happened, we shoved it back for a couple of weeks. I was actually thinking maybe we just wouldn't do it, period. But then after, a couple of weeks after 9/11, things started to normalize a little bit and we kicked it off and it was a success right off the bat. I mean, my gauge was if people will call, if I can give out the number and people will call me, that tells me that they trust me and that they are looking for good car advice because there's no place to get it. And that was, it'll be 25 years coming right up.
Wow. Well, and your induction to the Texas Radio Hall of Fame, you've been inducted along with people like Hal J. and Ron Chapman. I mean, they're true legends of broadcasting. So tell us what that means to you.
It was such an honor. I mean, I can't, and it's so rare for weekend hosts like me to get into the Hall of Fame. I mean, there's just not that many of us. But I got to tell you, I got a lot of awards and accolades in the car business. Very proud of every single one of them. But this award, being inducted into the Texas Radio Hall of Fame, for me was just an amazing. I couldn't believe it, actually. I always wanted to get in there. I got close a few times, but it was one of the highlights of my life. It really was.
Well, and Rebecca and I were there to share that moment with you, and I voted for you, and I even lobbied with a fellow broadcaster because back I used to be in radio a long time ago, and I lobbied
Yeah.
folks to make sure they voted for you because you were so deserving.
Well, I appreciate that. I
Well,
do.
we're at the end of the year, so tell us what our viewers and listeners need to know about buying a new car right now.
Well, I tell people and have for years, December is the best time to buy as far as finding themselves a great deal. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is you've got an entire industry pushing at the same time for nothing but numbers. So December's the volume month. That's when the manufacturers put the big incentives out there. And when you can take advantage of that, you've got car dealers all the way down to the salespeople who are trying to hit year-end goals. So you got all these people, thousands and thousands of people, all trying to sell as many cars as they can, all at one time. I get people calling the show, and they'll say, "I'm going to buy a car right after the first of the year," and I'll go, "Okay, they'll be there, but it's going to cost you." I'm telling you the difference between December incentives from the factory and January incentives from the factory is huge. So to take advantage of those, and particularly people who are going to lease, people who are looking at luxury cars, December to remember from Lexus. Everybody knows that commercial. It's the 25th year they've ran it. And it's just typical of what happens in December. So for those people who have put that decision off, December is when you need to get serious about it.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of tax advantages there too, particularly for those people who are self-employed and who own their own business. And it doesn't matter what size the business is. John's Lawn Service can be a business owner if you've got, the paperwork to back that up. You can write the entire cost of certain vehicles off on this year's taxes. So if you're used to writing a check on the 15th of April, you can buy yourself a new vehicle right now and get a whole lot of that money, perhaps even a refund by taking advantage of tax code 179. And I do have all the rules on that at my website, carpro.com.
Well, and given the choice of a low interest rate or a rebate, what are the criteria that a customer needs to consider?
You've got to look at every single case individually. because in some cases, for certain people, the interest rate, the 0% for 60 months, which is very prevalent right now, that's going to save people a whole lot of money. But under the Trump big beautiful bill that was signed back in July, you can now write interest off on your income taxes. So you might be better off taking a regular rate and then getting that rebate up front. But again, every case is different. That's why dealing with a good car dealer makes such a difference, because they can give you a side by side of the numbers and say, okay, if you take 0%, here's what your payment's going to be. If you take the rebate and a regular interest rate, here's what your payment's going to be. And then you, as a smart consumer, consider the tax implications of it. Then you make that good decision. But a trusted dealer can help you in a lot of ways, especially trying to decide which is best for you. But what I'm seeing right now, John, you can get low interest rates and cash back. So sometimes you don't have to make that decision.
Many years ago, when I represented ECU Credit Union, we were one of your first non-automotive advertisers, all
Yeah.
because they respected you to make fair and honest recommendations.
Yeah, I remember we did a meet and greet at your one of your Fort Worth locations one day. Kevin and I did. We really enjoyed our relationship with EECU.
Yeah, great folks. Well, I know
Yeah.
you've got some odd stories from over the years, including some about your sidekick, Kevin McCarthy. Share a couple with us.
Well, Kevin, God love him. You know, he was such a joy to work with all those years. He was with me 23 years. He just retired last year. But when I had this idea for the show, I went to him and I said, "Look, I'm on a low budget here. I don't know if this is going to work. I don't have any. I'm not going to pay you to be on the air with me for 2 hours every Saturday, but I will give you a new car to drive and let you use a demonstrator in the meantime while we're doing this." And he said, he wasn't doing anything. So he said, "Sure, I'd love to do that." So I said, "Come on out. Let's pick you out a car." So he picked out a really nice Ford Expedition. Well, I didn't know that Kevin had a reputation, besides pushing people in swimming pools, he had a reputation for not being a very good driver. The other thing I didn't know was his real name wasn't Kevin McCarthy. That was his radio name. So I'm in my office one day after we do the deal. He's got this new Expedition. At that time, this was 2001. I'm going to say it was $40,000 at that time, which was high for a car.
Loaded car.
But he picked a loaded one, of course. So I get a call one day from the Garland Police Department and said, "One of your vehicles has been involved in a wreck." I said, "Really?" And they said, "Yep, it's a bad one. It looks like it's completely totaled." And I said, "Who was driving it?" And they gave me the name. I don't know anybody by that name. And the police officer says, "I'm looking at his driver's license." I said, "Well, is he okay?" "Yeah, he's okay." And so I hang up and I go out on the showroom floor, and my general manager's there, and two or three of the sales managers are there. And I said, "Does anybody know this name?" And I gave the name. Nobody knows a word. Nobody. I said, "Well, he's driving one of our cars and he wrecked it. It's totaled." So about 10 minutes later, Kevin walks in the door and he said, "I guess you've heard." "Heard what?" "I wrecked your car." "No, somebody wrecked a car, but it wasn't you." "Yeah, it was me." That's when I found out that Kevin McCarthy was his radio name, not his real name.
Wow.
The story could be a little bit more animated, but I'm going to just leave it there.
That's great. Well, Jerry, thank you so much for your insights about car buying and ownership and that wonderful story about Kevin. As the most trusted voice of the car industry, I sure hope you can join us and join us again.
I
Thanks
will
so
do that,
much.
John. Thanks for having me.
Have a great day.